Hello, welcome family. How y'all doing? Hey, I'm your host Solomon Savoy Jr. And if this is your first time, why don't you click that bell? That way you subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be notified every time that I upload or go live, which I usually go live Fridays, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Also, click the like button. That way you can like this video, share this video if you think is helpful to someone. And then also, comment. You comment in the bottom. I'll be leaving a pinned up comment and you can answer, that question in that. Thank you for coming out, joining me. This is a real touchy topic, talking about trauma dumping. Some people might know what it is, some may not, but I guess we'll learn together. So I'll get right back to that right after this. Hey, welcome back. Again, this video is trauma dumping. Like I said, subscribe, like, comment, and share. Hey, this is something, I was thinking about, because a lot of times I think when certain people, they might vent or they might trauma dump, but there is a difference. And we're going to discuss that right now. So venting versus emotional dumping or trauma dumping, depending on how you want to call it, they totally different. And I have a few things that I'll, break down the differences between venting and emotional dumping. So let's go with venting first. Feels healthy. It's healthy. Sometimes I would say, I don't necessarily agree with all that, but sometimes it's healthy. They'll usually stick to the one topic, depending on what they're talking about. It'll probably be that one topic that they'll talk about. No victim mode. No victim mode or no blaming. So you have to look at that also, when they venting, they probably, just going through the emotions and things like that. Last one I'll say is they open to solutions after expressing yourself. So certain people, when they vent, I'm going to tell you they're not open to solutions, to be honest with you, but maybe that's not really venting. Let's think about that. Maybe it's trauma dumping. So let's talk about dumping. Trauma dumping, it feels toxic. So when you talk to them, you don't even feel right after talking to this person or interacting with them after they say they want to vent or just discuss a topic with you or an issue. You're going to feel some of that, that dumping. Also, they overwhelm you with many issues. So it's not just one issue. It's like all kind of things. They all over the map. Everything from the United States to Canada to Africa and back up to Europe and back to Australia and back to the United States. What I'm saying is they all over the place telling you different things that they probably just wasted 2 hours of your time. And some of y'all, that's if you're lucky. It might be 4 or 5 hours. Also, they are in victim mode. So, they're going to play the victim, and it don't matter what anybody else did, they're going to play the victim, even though they're not holding themselves accountable. Lastly, like I just said, they're not open to solutions. So you have to realize that they're not open to solutions. They just dumping trauma on you. And basically it's like almost like an energy transfer. So what I'm saying is they'll take that negative energy that they have and they'll take that and dump it on you. And guess what? They walk away feeling good. I'm going with this. You walk away feeling bad and like, you feel less than before you start talking to this person. So recognize the signs between venting and dumping. The person is going to vent. Hey, ask them up front. Hey, when they say they want to talk to you, is this a venting or is this something else? When they tell you, well, no, it's not venting, like, hey, you might want to hold off on listening to that conversation. You either can get better prepared or you can go ahead and set a boundary. We talk about boundaries a lot on this channel. So I probably would set a boundary and be like, nah, that's probably not going to be good for either one of us to, for you to come dump this stuff on me, especially things that happen. I'm not a psychiatrist. I can't, I can't handle some of the things you might be able to say, but, I am a certified life coach. I'm just, acting out that, if somebody came to you, if you're not certified in these areas or you don't feel comfortable talking about it, go ahead and set that boundary. Let them know, no, I'm not going to allow you to trauma dump on me because then, I'm going with this. Let's move on to the next thing. Trauma dumping weighs heavy on you. So you got to think about it. If you're dealing with your own issues, your own insecurities, your own trauma, whether it's from childhood or recently, going through narcissistic abuse with a spouse or whatever the case is, you can't take on that person's trauma. And I think that's what happens with a lot of people. Like, we'll take on this person's trauma thinking we can help them. But first, you have to help yourself before you can help someone else. You know, I always say, just like the airplane scenario, they always tell you when the mask drop, put your mask on first before you put the mask on one of your children or the person sitting next to you. In this case, you have to take care of yourself first. Before you can take on whether it's venting or trauma dumping, you have to realize that, you know what, I'm not in a place mentally or sometimes physically to deal with your issues. Let me deal with my stuff first. And you praying for them, you know, hopefully within that time, hopefully they can get the help that they need and they won't have to trauma dump on you. So again, recognize the signs and let it, you know, realize that it does weigh heavy on you. So let's discuss what is actual trauma. Trauma can be many things. It can come from war. It can come from childhood. It can come from rape. It can come from abuse. It can come from molestation. It can come from, when I say abuse, yes, I'm talking about, you know, I say it a lot. I'm talking about physically, talking about mentally, emotionally, all those abuse, financially, you know, everything. You know, I say that a lot because I wanted to, you know, to get instilled into y'all brains that when we say abuse, it's not just physically. I think that's the first thing people think of. Oh, well, she must have been physically abused or he must have been. It's not always the case. It can be financially when the person just clears out your account. That could be some trauma, especially when you're saving up, let's say for your child's education to go to college, and then you have someone come in and take all your money out of your account. That would be trauma. That definitely would be trauma to me. I'm just saying. Other forms of trauma, you know, it'd be childhood trauma, like I mentioned, like molestation and rape and things like that. That could be other forms of trauma. So when people want to tell you some of their past, it ends up being trauma dumping. What you have to realize is they going all the way back from when they're 7 and they was touched by a person or, you know, or raped or molested or, you know, just beaten as a child or didn't eat as a child when they should have. You know, that's a lot to take on. Sometimes you have to pass the person on to one professional help, but, you know, I'm going to say the ultimate help, which is going to be God. So I'll pray for you and, you know, I'll be there, you know, for your shoulder to cry on, but at the same time, you have to realize that I can't take on all your trauma, not when I'm dealing with my own traumas and my own securities myself. That's all I'm saying about that. Let's get into the first Bible verse. It is Psalms 55 and 22. I have it pulled up right here. It says, cast your burdens on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never permit the righteous to be moved. So all these burdens, all this trauma, we're not built to take on a lot of these things. You have to realize that. I know you want to be the friend, you want to be the husband, you want to be the wife, but a lot of times you can't deal with everyone's trauma. Now, am I saying that you can't deal with anyone's trauma? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying when you're getting constantly bombarded with trauma dumping, I'm talking about like taking, you know, phone calls or, you know, you watching videos or, you know, people want to text you or email you all the time, just different trauma. It's going to weigh heavy on not just you, like your mind mentally, but also physically. You're going to find yourself maybe not eating like you used to because you're dealing with all those traumas. You're dealing with all these things that has really nothing to do with you. So I'm just here to tell you, just recognize the different signs and recognize the different things when it comes to trauma dumping and venting. Let's keep moving. You can't heal you can't heal a trauma by dumping. What I mean by that, just because you dump your trauma on someone else, that doesn't mean that you're going to heal because you did that. That's not how that works. Think about that for a second. All you did was prolong your own healing. So you dump your trauma, let's say on me, and then I take that, you know, take the brunt of it. But you still have to deal with your own issues. You know, your own demons in your life is what I'm going to say. You still have to deal with those. So that's going to be spiritual warfare. That's going to be going to God in prayer and reading your Bible, reading self-help books, things like that to deal with trauma. You know, you might have to go talk to a psychiatrist, maybe a life coach, you know, things like that. People that can help you with narcissist abuse or just different kinds of abuse. But in this case, we're talking about trauma dumping. So trauma dumping, that's what psychiatrists get paid for. Why don't you go sign up for a session? It's going to cost you, but in the end game, if it's going to cost me, let's say $125 to go talk to the psychiatrist and they can help me see, you know, what the trauma dumping is doing to me, I think that $125 is worth it, or whatever they cost may be. You know, it's different. it's different in different areas. So just remember that. Know your limits. What I mean by this is know your limits of what you can take on. So again, if the person is going to dump trauma on you and tell you all their deepest, darkest secrets, know your own limits. So know that not everything that you're doing is necessarily going to help that person, or actually, help the person that you're dealing with, or help you. So you have to realize that all this trauma is not the best thing to be going through. So know your limits, set your limits, which is like setting boundaries. So set your boundaries and let people know that, you know what, I can't take on all this different trauma because it's weighing heavy on my heart. So now I'm dealing with your trauma, and I'm not even dealing with the things that I need to deal with. So I think a lot of times, and we human, we all make mistakes. We want to help everybody. My wife did a video last week about, saving people and just, being that person to save people. Well, sometimes you can't save the person. You can't put a cape on like you're Superman and try to save everybody. That's not how that happens. So you have to realize that I have to be the bigger person and let you know that I can't deal with your trauma. And I'm still trying to heal with drama in my life. I'm still trying to, heal from things that happened in the past myself. Now, if you can deal with that, hey, go ahead, do what you have to do. But again, know your limits is all I'm saying. So don't be that person that the drama, or in this case, the trauma that the person is telling you is weighing so heavy on you that you start having anxiety, you start having depression, and you start having, suicidal thoughts and things like that because of everything that everybody else is telling you. You can't take on everybody's problem. Even psychiatrists need a psychiatrist. Life coach need life coaches also, because you can't just continue on this like 24/7 going down this path like I'm going to just help everybody, because you can't help everybody, because guess what? Everybody don't want to be helped. So some people just want to be a trauma dump. They just want to dump trauma. That's all they choose to do. And it depends how you look at it, whether it's bad or good, that's what they choose to do. Maybe that's how they're dealing with it. But in the same sentence, they're not dealing with it. They're just pushing it off to us and thinking we go deal with it. But in actuality, we're not even dealing with it, because like I said, we're dealing with a lot of things on our own. So last but not least, stop being someone trauma trash can. What do I mean by that? Stop letting them just dump all the trauma, all the drama. Some of y'all, I know some women, they have girlfriends and they'll call you late at night. Girl, let me tell you. And they telling you everything that their husband did. That's like a trauma trash can too. I know you don't think about it like that, but that's just my girlfriend telling me stories. Well, if you think about it, she do this all the time. I can see once every blue moon. But if she do it all the time, like 3-4 times a week, and there's always drama going on, and then you have to leave your house with your husband and your kids, or just your family, to go deal with her stuff. Think about that for a second. So now she's taking you out of your element, putting you in an element that you probably shouldn't be in, to go deal with something that you shouldn't have to deal with. They adults. Let them deal with they have to call the police. Well, they're going to have to call the police. It shouldn't be you going. I can see every once in a while, like I said, you go and help them out. But this shouldn't be something that you're doing constantly all the time, leaving your household to go deal with another grown woman, or in some men, another grown man. Sometimes you might have to go get your brother and tell him, hey, sit down and talk to him. But it shouldn't be a continuous thing. Like every 2-3 days you calling me saying, hey, bro, I need your help. Me and my wife got into it. You got to stand up like a man and deal with that. Same thing with a woman. You got to be that woman. You married to that person, or you dating that person. You're going to have to deal with this on your own. You're going to have to go to God in prayer and deal with this. So I said on your own, but you know what I'm saying? You got to take this up and give your problems to God, because I can't do it. I have my own problems in my own house. So how can I sit there and say, I'm going to help you, and I'm not helping myself? Again, so don't be the person's trauma trash can. Recognize the signs of the difference between venting and trauma dumping, or emotional dumping, depending how you look at it. It's the emotional dumping and trauma dumping, or to me, they're one and the same. So recognize the differences between them. If a person wants to vent, it's cool, but the intent is for them to vent, and then hopefully you come to a conclusion that you can help them with their venting, like they venting. And then sometimes people just need to let off steam. I even do that sometimes. I go to my wife and just want to let off a little steam, and then, but from that, I can see clearly now, so now I'm like, okay, this is what I need to do moving forward. But if you go in that same aspect, you go trauma dump on a person, you're not coming out with a conclusion. All you're doing is coming out with confusion. So you're confused about what you just did. You know you trauma dump. You might feel a little bit better, but guess what? That little feeling that you have, feeling good, it's not gonna last that long. It might not even last to the next morning. Because by the time you get to your house, you done had that drive home, and you get home, you take your shower, you lay in your own bed, boom, it hits you like a ton of bricks again because you haven't dealt with the trauma. You're only distributing your trauma to everybody else. Anybody that want to listen, that's what you're doing. You're just distributing that to everybody. That's not what we should do, people. Don't be that person that's going to continue doing things like that. That's just not the right thing to do. I mean, when you think about it. So trauma dumping, I don't agree with it. Something I learned, over the last few months about trauma dumping, just looking at different things and reading different articles. But trauma dumping, it goes around. Like a lot of people do it. Some people do it and they probably don't even know they're doing it. But you have to be the person that recognizes this is trauma dumping. It's not venting. I can't deal with this right now. And it's okay to set a boundary saying, you know what, I can't deal with this right now. There's nothing in the rule book that says that, hey, we best friends. I'll take on all your trauma. Whatever it is, I'll just take it on. You're not God. I'm not God. So I'm sure not going to take on everybody trauma. Even as a life coach, I have to draw a line on what I'm going to listen to and what I can help with. Because some things, guess what? I know it's out of my wheelhouse, like they have to say, or it's out of my tools that I can use to help you. I can help you with that. And I'll tell you as a life coach that, you know what? You're going to have to go to God, or maybe you need to go see a psychiatrist or a combination thereof. I can help you with it, So some things I can, some things I can't. But I'm going to be the bigger person and tell you, you know what? Not just accepting people money just for anything. I think some people would do that, accept money and just take on, just listen to everybody trauma. Like, I'm not getting anything out of listening to everybody trauma. So again, this video was trauma dumping. Let me pull it back up. I hope you was able to learn something out of this. I hope that if you are dealing with trauma dumping, you now know the difference between trauma dumping and venting. And some of y'all, to be honest with you, you probably don't want to even deal with venting. So we have to realize that. So, but you have to recognize your own, like I said, you have to recognize your own limits. So when you know your limits, you'll know if you can deal with venting. You'll know if you can deal with trauma dumping. Or you'll know if you don't want to deal with not narrow one of them. Yes, I said not narrow one of them. It's not proper English. I know that. But hey, that's what I did. But hey, thank y'all for joining me on this video. Like I said, this was called trauma dumping. Hit that, subscribe, hit that bell, like, comment, and share. And I will pin this up. Thank you. And we'll be live Friday, 7:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll see you then. God bless you. And you know what? Hey, I'm excited. I will say that before I get off here. I'm excited. I'm excited about what the future holds with the YouTube channel. And I'm excited about, the helping and the words that's being delivered from my channel, then also from, like my wife's channel and then other people's channels, that's getting more exposure of narcissistic abuse out in the community, because we know it's more than 1% narcissists in the world. That's a lie. Y'all know put a 1 in the chat if you know there's a lie before we get off here. You know there's a lie that there's more than 1% of narcissists in the world. I'm gonna put a bunch of ones in there, like all across the thing when this premiere. This could be a premiere, so I'm gonna put a bunch of them. But anyway, man, thank y'all for tuning in. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. God bless. See you.
Faith-Based Workplace, LLC understands that narcissistic leaders are self-absorbed and hold beliefs of entitlement and superiority. At the same time, they act in their own best interest, putting others' needs and interests at risk. Therefore, workers can feel the pressure of working under narcissistic supervision. Such workers also may suffer abusive behavior from their narcissistic leaders. Companies with narcissistic leaders have higher turnover rates, and employees at these companies suffer from anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. Faith-Based Workplace LLC wants to help employees handle direct contact with narcissists. Faith-Based Workplace LLC's mission is to train employees on how to deal with other narcissists' employees, staff, and managers. Visit www.faithbasedworkplace.com for blogs, tips, and exclusive merchandise. Check us out on YouTube for help.